Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm Herbalist Leo, and today I'm going to speak about gut feeling, the connection between your gut bacteria and your mood, specifically depression and anxiety. And please note that this is the fourth video in a series of videos about the microbiome, and you can opt to stop this video now and go listen to the three videos that I recorded before, or you can watch it separately. It can be used separately too. So mood disorders are really happening in growing numbers in Western cultures. A lot of my clients come to me with all kinds of other conditions, but accompanying them are depression and anxiety. And they're really debilitating their everyday life. They can really be disruptive. They could lead to heart conditions. They could lead to addictions. They could lead to having a hard time keeping a job and functioning as part of society. And they could lead to people putting themselves in really challenging and sometimes even dangerous conditions, such as homelessness. Conventional medicine treatment for depression are mostly limited to the use of SSRIs. What SSRIs are doing is increasing serotonin levels in the brain. But about 30% of people with chronic disease, with severe depressions, don't respond to SSRIs at all. And that leaves them with depression and anxiety that there is no treatment. They cannot really resolve their mood conditions. The gut-brain axis is a two-way communication system between the central nervous system in the brain and the enteric nervous system, which is the nervous system or the bundle of nerves that are in the gut or in the solar plexus. And it's link emotional and cognitive centers in the brain with the solar plexus. Recent research shows that gut bacteria is very important on those interaction, on those communications between the brain and the enteric nervous system. Those interaction are two-way interactions. So the brain sends messages to the enteric nervous system, and the enteric nervous system send communication back to the brain. So it's a two-way process that involves neurons. It involves hormones, so the endocrine system, and it involves immune messengers. So there is at work there both nervous system, endocrine system, and immune system working together to create, among other things, your mood. So how really is dysbiosis or imbalances in gut bacteria affect the brain? The human gut has trillions of bacteria in them. And when I'm speaking about bacteria, I'm actually speaking about bacteria, viruses, and fungi that call your gut home. And dysbiosis is actually imbalance between the different strain. And what I mean by imbalance is how many strains you have, which strains you have, how they work together, and the proportion of each strain to the others. So dysbiosis is when you're missing some of the strains, or the strains that you do have are not in the right proportions in your gut. And dysbiosis is linked to leaky gut, which cause inflammation, and inflammation that is become chronic or prolonged inflammation cause systemic inflammation. And systemic inflammation ends up in all over your body, in all the systems, including the brain, and that leads to neuroinflammation, which increase the risk of mood conditions, not surprisingly. The human gut also have the second highest concentration of herbs after the brain, and that leads researchers to believe that any shift in gut bacteria can lead to depression just by the shift itself. Please keep in mind that 70% of your serotonin actually is produced by those small critters in your gut. Dysbiosis can activate the stress response in the brain. And like any other disease, when you are in disease, your stress response is activated. But dysbiosis is a kind of prolonged condition. So you get overstimulation of stress response. And that means cortisol that is leaking into your blood for a prolonged period of time. And that leads to a couple of adverse health outcomes. It has immune function effect, and it also have effect on your mental health, and it can lead to anxiety and depression. Animals that were grown in really sterile environment, so they put them in a bubble where there was no exposure to bacteria, virus, and fungi from birth. So they never developed gut bacteria, and they never had connection to microbiome in any way, showed problems with immune system, but also with mood. They showed signs of depression in the way that they behaved. On the other hand, a strain of gut microbiome called Lactobacillus reuteri has been found to upregulate oxytocin. So it makes you make more oxytocin. And oxytocin, we all know it is the connection, the love hormone. Oxytocin is produced in women as something that triggers the birth, so the contraction of birthing a baby, and it's also trigger lactation. It's trigger basically mother-baby attachment. But it's also, oxytocin is triggered in us when we hug another human being. So it's the hormone that make us connect, love, relate, empathize with other people. And it found out that a certain gut bacteria actually improve or increase the release of oxytocin, which is amazing. So if we kind of sum it up, humans beings are social beings. We know that. We know that we need a connection with other humans in order to thrive. But what we learned from that is that it's not just other humans that we need connections with. We need connection with our old good friends, the microbiome, because they help us regulate our nervous system. So how depression affects the microbiome? Research found evidence linking depression to changes in microbiome, so it can work on the other way too, and it can lead to dysbiosis. In animal studies, diet high in simple carbs and fat changed the number and types of bacterial strains in mice, and what happened was that the mice started to show behavior patterns that are depressive. You got depressive mice. Another study showed, and that was a really disgusting study, if I might say, they took feces from people that had depression and transplanted it in healthy, thriving mice, and those mice show symptoms of depression, which is strange. Who got the idea? Studies also found that people that struggle with depression missing a couple of strains of microbiome, and specifically those strains are associated with synthesizing serotonin, GABA, glutamate, and butyrate. Now we know, and it's very famous now, that serotonin, GABA, and glutamate are neurotransmitters that support balanced mood. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid that produced by some strains of bacteria, gut bacteria, and act as an antidepressant. So people with depression have lower numbers of those neurotransmitters. Different types of psychological stress were also found to affect the microbiome or create a change in microbiome numbers and strains. Those are psychological stress like maternal separation, being exposed to bullying continually, like that child in school that all of his 12 years of education was exposed to bullying, or that child that was abused at home, or something like that. People that are living in crowded environment where they don't have access to resources, where everything is really overpopulated, people that are exposed to heat or noise for a prolonged period of time without having any control on that, those kind of stressors were found to change the compositions of and number of microbiome in the gut, therefore influencing the gut, but also mood. So if we sum it all up, imbalances in microbiome can lead to depression by increasing the permeability of the lining of the gut, and by doing that, leading to inflammation, that lead to systemic inflammation, that leads to neuroinflammation, that leads to mood disorders. Reducing this synthesis of serotonin, GABA, glutamate, and butyrate can lead to mood conditions and creating stress or making stress worse, therefore increasing the chances of mood disorder. Dysbiosis and depression can form a vicious cycle where one leads to the other in a cycle that is never ending, but also it's intensified, it's becoming worse and worse and worse, leading to like a sliding down of depression and dysbiosis that is very hard to control. So a holistic approach to mental health recognizes the connection between lifestyle, diet, movement, and sleep and stress in managing the microbiome and the way the microbiome can manage your mood. So when I care for people with mental disorders, I would also address the microbiome as part of the treatment or the care plan, just in order to support the mood too. It's one aspect of mood. So if you are one of the 21 million Americans or 280 million people worldwide who are struggling with depression and anxiety, know that you are not alone. I am here to help, and I hope you will contact me and reach out. I can really be there for you. Yep. So that's for that topic. And if you have any questions or any remark, please post them out under this video on the comments. And if you have suggestions to other topic that you would like me to cover, please let me know. I am very happy to work with you and answer questions and try to elaborate on topics that you're interested in. Thank you, and see you next month with another topic. Bye.